64. There is no requirement that if you have an order in hand where no recovery is made, you are not bound to file any appeal and then withdraw it. So all the past VAT amnesties which were introduced by state governments had this unique condition that you have to first apply and then withdraw. Here they are saying that wherever I am giving a benefit, I will pass an order. Against that order which is waiving interest and penalty, you are not allowed to appeal. See, the idea of going into appeal and withdrawing is what? That you go into appeal so you don't get a chance to appeal again further. Now, this act itself is saying that once you are given benefit of waiver of interest and penalty, which is covered by that notice or order, I will not allow you to go into appeal. And the form SPL 1 or 2, as the case may be, itself contains a declaration that I will not appeal. And there is a statutory provision also. Now coming to C, which is a remote possibilities that we would face. In C, an order has been passed by the appellate authority, but no order has been passed by GStat. Now we know that GStat is not still operational. So we wouldn't have many cases in C. Again, an unadjudicated show cause for 1718, 1819 and 1920 also would be a remote possibility. So most of us will deal with cases which are covered by 128A, subsection 1, clause B, where an order is passed under 73(9). Where I have filed an appeal, then I will withdraw that appeal. Where I have filed no appeal, I will simply make an application. So what does this 128A say? Let us read once more. Notwithstanding anything contrary contained in this act, where any amount of tax is payable, by a person, a notice is issued under 73(1), and where no order is passed under 73(9). B, an order is passed under 73(9) and no order is passed under 107(11), that is the first appeal order. An order is passed by the first appellate authority and no order is passed by the GStat pertaining to the period 1st July 17 to 31st March 20. That says that these 3 financial years are covered. And the said person pays the full amount of tax payable as per the notice or the statement referred in clause A, B and C on or before a notified date. No interest under section 50 and penalty under this act shall be payable, and all proceedings in respect of the said notice or order or statement, as the case may be, shall be deemed to be concluded subject to certain conditions as may be prescribed. So what do we get out of reading this 128A subsection 1? It covers cases where notice is issued but no order is passed. It also covers cases where an order under 73 is passed but no appellate order is passed. 3, it covers cases where the first appellate authority has passed an order but no GStat order has been passed. Okay. Now let us put this up, the whole discussion that we are going to do today. I have just put it up in a form of a diagram. So we all saw that only non-fraud cases are eligible for applying to this waiver. What are those cases? First, we saw a show cause notice is issued but no order has been passed. What do you mean by but not adjudicated? Meaning no order is passed. This is covered by section 128 capital A subsection 1 clause 1. Here simply what has to be done, when I say there is a notice but no order has been passed. Okay. Now let us get used to the technical things that we have to keep in mind. When I say that a notice is there but no order has been passed, technically no liability is created in the electronic liability ledger. We all know electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, liability ledger. There are so many ledgers. And when I pass an order, what happens? There is a debit in the electronic liability ledger. What do you mean by debit? There is something which is receivable by the government from the taxpayer, and hence there is a debit. 2, adjudication order has been passed. Okay. This is covered by section 128 capital A subsection 1 clause B. Now we could face 2 possibilities. One, where appeal is filed before the first appellate authority, but no appeal order has been passed. Then what is it provided? Section 128A provides that you withdraw the appeal. Okay, if you filed the appeal. If you filed the appeal, you withdraw the appeal. And the second case is that an order is passed, but no appeal is filed by me. In both cases, the law provides that if you filed appeal, withdraw the appeal. If you have not filed the appeal, no problem. Pay the entire tax covered by that order and then make an application in SPL 02. So most of us are going to deal with this form, that is SPL 02. Coming to the third case, which is covered by 128A subsection 1 clause C, where the first appellate authority has passed order. Okay, we've already come across the first appellate authorities, many orders have been passed, but no order has been passed by GSTAT. Now that is not possible also. But if you have filed, which is also not possible, you withdraw that appeal, it says. Again, since no appeal is filed or you're not able to file the appeal, it says that against the first appellate authority order, you pay the entire tax demand and then you file SPL 02. Fourth situation, which is covered by the proviso to 128 capital A subsection 1. What does it cover? If any appellate authority or court says that this order, which was originally passed under 74(1), is not a fit case of 74, but is a fit case of 73, no problem. Re-adjudicate or redetermine that notice, which was originally issued under 74, under 73. Okay. In this case also, the amnesty or the waiver benefit is available, but it has a longer period. So in that sense, though for all of us, generally 31st March 2025 is the last date by which we have to pay the tax, and 30th June, that is within 3 months, you make the application. So for most of us, 30th June 25 will be the time when this scheme ends. But cases which are redetermination cases, which may happen after 6 months, after 4 months, there the application, the law says that you can make within 6 months from the date the fresh order under 73 is passed. Okay. So moving forward, payment process. So we saw which taxpayers are eligible to make an application for waiver of interest and penalty. Now we move to payment process. As I said in the beginning of my session, that this is not normal payment process where you just pay the challan in and stamp it in the bank. Now we are dealing with a technical platform. We pay, the cash ledger is updated. Then when we file returns, the 3B offsets the tax amount from the cash ledger. Similarly, when you make payments against adjudication orders, there is a process you have to follow. And that is what we are going to understand here. So first, let us understand the time limit. Time limit for all of us when we are dealing in normal order cases is 31st of March 25. Okay. Whether it is an order which is passed by the adjudicating authority, that is your officer, or whether it is an order which is passed by the first appellate authorities. Most of us are going to deal with these two kind of orders. In both these cases, 31st March 2025 is the last date by which the payment of tax demand as per that order has to be paid. But where cases are covered by the fraud cases getting converted into or redetermined as a non-fraud case, in that case, the payment and the application both have to be made 6 months from the date of issuance of the fresh order. Okay. How to make the payment? SPL 1 cases, SPL 2 cases. Most of us are not going to deal with SPL 1 cases. But it's not that they may not exist. The law provides for SPL 1 cases, keeping into mind what? Suppose somebody has gone with a notice to the High Court in a writ petition, and the High Court has stayed the proceedings. In that case, we still would have an unadjudicated show cause notice under 73. To cover those cases, you have SPL 1 form where obviously there is no debit entry in the electronic liability ledger. Okay. In that case, you simply pay through DRC 03. Very simple process. But SPL 2 cases are cases where an order is passed. Either that order is passed by the proper officer who has adjudicated that notice or by an appellate authority. Here the question is whether I have made the payment. If I have not made the payment, pay against the debit entry. We'll see how that screen looks like. You have to pay against any amount which has been debited. So pay against demand. Okay, that's the word used on the portal. So that demand goes and attaches itself or tags itself against the debit entry in the electronic liability ledger. And effectively, when someone takes a scroll out that how many liabilities are unpaid vis-a-vis this taxpayer, any amount which is paid and tagged against a debit entry will not appear in outstanding demands. So where this amount has not been paid, in many cases we've seen that order is passed but no recovery is made. Okay, in that case, you have to simply go and pay it against that demand, not through DRC03, no voluntary payments, but make a payment against the demand. How? We will see in subsequent stream. Where the payment is made, we could face two situations. One, we filed a DRC03. Very common for these initial years of 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20. There is an order, there is an adjudication order. Officer says make the payment, you paid through DRC03. Now, many of us don't know till date that that debit entry is still in the liability ledger, in spite of the fact that the amount demanded has already been paid through DRC03. Two, where the amount has been paid through credit ledger, where the amount is paid through DRC03. And most of these cases will cover cases where an appeal has been filed. Where you file an appeal, you make a pre-deposit payment of 10%. And in those cases, you would have usually in the initial years paid this amount with those remarks that this is 10% pre-deposit through a DRC03. Now, effectively what happens? That your demand is lying as a debit in the electronic liability ledger, in spite of the fact that 10% of the tax demand you already deposited as pre-deposit. In all these cases, in case of DRC03 payments, you map that amount. Now you have to map that payment which you already made through DRC03 to that debit entry which is there in your electronic liability ledger against that particular order of 17, 18, 18, 19 or 19, 20. So how would you map? Recently, there was a functionality form 3A which was introduced. You simply go file a 3A. What will 3A benefit you? The 3A will enable you to map that amount which you originally paid through DRC03 with that debit entry in your electronic liability ledger against that order which was passed under 73. After doing all this, you proceed to file SPL 02. Okay, payment has to be made. Now let us take a case study here. Taxpayer has filed an original VAT return, in this case being under the Maharashtra VAT. Subsequently, he filed a revised return, and in the revised return, he carried forward the excess ITC being rupees 6,02,530. What did the state GST officer say? He said that only any excess credit which was there in the original return, I will allow you to transition under section 140. And so he created a demand. He issued a DRC7 demanding 6,02,530 with an interest of 1.86 and a penalty of 10% under section 73. Assessee filed an appeal. Now, when this demand is created by DRC07, you see, when I go to the electronic liability ledger, it is quantifying that 6,02,530, 186,800 under interest and 60,253 under penalty. Okay. Now, what I have to do before filing my SPL 02, I need to make this 6,02,530 as 0. Okay. What I have done is, when I went for appeal, I did not knock that amount off the SPL, of the demand ledger, of the liability ledger, but I filed a DRC03. I gave them 10% DRC03 to the appellate authority, and my appeal was admitted. So APL 02 was issued. But now, even in this case, if I go, and this is the ARN of the DRC03. Now, the 100% tax demand is still standing in my electronic liability ledger, in spite of the fact that 10% of that tax amount I have already pre-deposited through this DRC03. So now what do? I go to my applications. There is a separate functionality which allows me to recall that DRC03 and tag it to the demand order number. Okay. So now if you see here, I had filed this DRC03, which has this particular ARN, and I had deposited the SGST amount of 60,253. And it clearly shows that form DRC03 bearing this ARN as on date has a balance of 60,253. What does it mean? It has balance. It means that it is not tagged to any liability which is created by an order. Now, it will also give me drop down of all the orders where the demand is still outstanding. So I recall that you can see on your screen that there is 6,02,530, which was the original demand of SGST made through the DRC07 that was passed under section 73. What I have to do now? I have to tag this to this. So when I file this DRC03A, this 60,253 which I paid through the originally paid through DRC03 will get tagged to this demand order, and that demand will reduce. Then the balance amount of 60, after reducing that 60,000 from 6,02,000, the balance over here will reduce and appear, and I have to select this outstanding demand tab and pay the balance, and then I go to file the SPL 02. So when I go to and select and go inside, I will see all these balances. After filing my DRC03A, the 6,02,000 that you see in the outstanding demand will get reduced by the pre-deposit amount. And then once I file this, I can make the balance payment and go ahead and file my SPL 02. This was about payment. You have to be very careful in payment because we are living in technology terms. So you will pay 100%. Now, in some cases, so this functionality of DRC03A, which we saw, applies only in cases where DRC4 has not been issued by the officer. Okay. So what happens is, the law says that whenever an assessee files DRC03, based on the reasons for filing, the officer has to verify that DRC03 and issue an acceptance sign DRC04. Where DRC4 is issued, I cannot recall that DRC3. So many state officers have started passing DRC4 orders. Many of us would have started receiving emails from clients, I paid DRC03 tax 4 years back and now I'm getting all these emails. What is it? So what they're effectively doing is they are passing DRC4 orders so that 10% or whatever tax you have deposited earlier cannot be utilized against the application for waiver. It is a problem, and in cases the amounts are large, I foresee many people going to writ jurisdiction for that. So coming to the application process, what have we done? We have made the payment of the tax demanded in that order or the show cause notice. And now I'm going to the application process. Once I've paid the entire tax demand, I am eligible now to file my SPL 02. Okay. Now, one interesting thing. So what does it say? I have to first withdraw my appeal if I have filed any. Then I have to pay the entire tax demand. Okay. And then I go and file my SPL 01 or SPL 02. Let us see this entire application process. So when I go and log into that portal, in my applications, that is the tab I will select. Then I will see in the list of application types, one application called Application for Waiver Scheme under 128 capital A. When I go further and select that, I will say I want to make a new application under this application type. I will get two options. It says select the waiver application type, either SPL 01 or SPL 02. And then when I say create application, the system asks a number of questions, whether the demand order is issued through the GST portal. Now, what is the reason for this question? We have seen that many central government orders, most of the states have always been issuing orders on the portal, but we have experienced that many CGST officers or CGST commissionerates have issued orders manually. So whenever an order is issued manually, you say no, and then they will allow you to make certain manual entries. Whether any appeal application has been filed against the order. The fact that this question is asked again confirms that even if you have not filed an appeal, you need not go and file an appeal and then withdraw it to become eligible to make an application under this section. Whether any application filed for withdrawal of appeal. Another condition is if you filed an appeal, you have to also prove that I have withdrawn that appeal. Either you give a proof of the application made, or if the appellate authority has given in writing that, an withdrawal order, then you attach that order. But a withdrawal order is a must. If at the time of making application, you do not have the withdrawal order, it is okay, but you have to upload it before a discharge certificate is given. Whether the appeal or writ petition against the order has been withdrawn, so you say yes. Whether the order has been issued under 73 or 74, you select 73. Whether demand order includes erroneous refund. Okay, so when you say yes, it will know that this is something you have to pay, but no waiver is applicable. When you go further, you get this table 1, which is basic details, and all the mobile numbers of signatories which are there will appear over there. You select any one mobile number. You will also get the email ID and the jurisdiction and the address. And all this is auto-populated, while these first two mobile and email IDs are something you have to select from a drop-down. You cannot punch anything. Table 2, details of the demand. So again, that order number is something you can drop down. So if you're making, you have 3 or 4 applications to make, for each order, you have to make one application. Once you select the order number and the order is passed on the portal electronically, the date of issue of order, the section in which all this gets auto-populated. The only thing which you have to drop down and select is whether any appeal or petition has been filed, whether it is withdrawn. Okay, so that yes, you have to do, and then move forward. When you move forward, there will be one table which will be the demand amount. Okay, and as you see that if there is a common order for more than 1 year, then all the tabs will be available. If out of this there is any 16.4 demand, you have to manually put it in the respective year, because what happens is when a common order has 16.4 and other than 16.4, you have to eliminate the 16.4 demand, because that anyways is gone out with 16.5. So here a very common question which people have is that if I have 16.4 liability as one of the liabilities or one of the parameters in the order, do I first rectify that order and then make an application for waiver? No. The circular very clearly says that whenever you are filing SPL 02 and if the order has amongst other elements also an element for 16.4, you simply have to mention that amount and deduct that amount. Okay. Going further, how have you paid it? If you pay it electronically, either through the pay on demand option or the 3A, it will automatically tag it to the order number, because you're mentioning the order number there, right? For the demand order, if the demand order is issued on the portal and the payment is made through payment towards demand option, then obviously it will get auto-populated here. For the demand order issued on GST portal and payment made through 3, under causes of payment as voluntary or others, we all know we have to file DRC03A. For demand orders which are manually uploaded, manually issued and not issued on the portal, then a list of DRC03s will come in picture against that manual order to mention those DRC03. All the DRC03s that you've paid will get listed over there. Along with this application, there are certain uploads that you have to do, PDF uploads, self-certified copy of the order, proof of withdrawal of appeal or the application for withdrawal, proof of payment made towards the demand, that is DRC03, and adjust it to 3A. All these you have to upload with the attachments. There are 5 attachments allowed again over here. If you want any other thing also to be attached, you can upload that also as an attachment. So that is about the application process. Now, from the front end, when taxpayer makes the application process, it is equally important to understand what the tax officer is going to do. Okay. So you have made an application. The question is whether the application can be accepted. If the application can be accepted, when the tax officer sees your application and he sees everything is fine, the order had so much demand and this man has paid it, he will straightaway issue an order in SPL 05. That is the order which is granting waiver of the interest and penalty portion of that order. If he feels, no, I'm not satisfied and I want to reject it, or I want to ask some more questions before I accept or reject it, he will issue a show cause notice in SPL 03. Once this show cause notice comes to the assessee has to reply to the show cause notice in SPL 04. If the reply is acceptable, yes, then again it will lead to issuance of order in SPL 05, admitting the application. And if the reply is not acceptable, the proper officer will pass an order rejecting the waiver application in SPL 07. Now, in cases which are covered by SPL 05 and where the reason for applying is in SPL 01, that is, there was a notice and SPL 01 application is made, then no DRC 7 needs to be passed because, there is no liability created, there is no payment to be made. Okay, the payment against that show cause is already made. In cases covered by SPL 02, you already paid the tax component. So there is a credit entry against the tax debit entry in the electronic liability ledger. Now, what is remaining is the interest and penalty, right? Once you file SPL 02, that liability ledger will get modified to the extent of interest and penalty. Coming to cases where a rejection order in SPL 07 is passed, the taxpayer has a right to file an appeal against a rejection order in SPL 07. But the limited reason for which an appeal can be filed is only contesting that whether the waiver application was, whether the taxpayer was eligible or whether the waiver was wrongly rejected. No other ground you can have in the appeal. This is the limited ground for which the appeal against SPL 07 can be filed. Where an appeal has been filed in SPL 07, where no appeal has been filed, the original appeal, if any filed, shall be restored. Okay. We already discussed that for making an application in SPL 02, the precondition is that you withdraw the appeal and make the payment of the tax demand. So since you have withdrawn that appeal and now the waiver application also is rejected, the law says, okay, original appeal which you withdrew, especially for making this application, I will restore that. But the law also gives the taxpayer an option to file an appeal against SPL 07. Now, when the appellate authority receives that appeal against order in SPL 07, one, he may accept the rejection order passed by the original authority. In that case also, your original appeal gets restored. Other possibility is that the appellate authority rejects the SPL 07 order passed by the original authority, saying that no, this waiver application is in place and I will pass an order in SPL 06. So he will not remand the matter back to the original authority who has rejected the waiver application, but he has been empowered under the framework of this section to directly pass SPL 06 order, which again grants the waiver application. So we have two forms in which orders accepting the waiver application can be made. One is SPL 05 and one is SPL 06. Okay, let's move forward. Now, we understood the eligible cases. We understood that we have to first make the payment, withdraw the appeal, and how the payment has to be made. We understood the technicalities that you have to follow on the portal. Then we saw the process of making the application after the payment is made. Now let us see certain queries that we have received before planning this session. If the demand includes demand towards erroneous refund, we already know that as per section 128A subsection 2, the benefit of waiver is not allowed in respect of any item in the order if the order pertains to erroneous refund claim. In that case, pay the entire tax, including amount towards erroneous refund. Okay. First, you pay the entire tax. So tax demanded in respect of other parameters and tax demanded in respect of erroneous refund, you first pay the entire amount. Then you file the amnesty application in SPL 02. And then the officer, if he finds everything in order, he will file the amnesty application in amnesty order in SPL 05. After that, what will get waived is only interest and penalty, which is pertaining to parameters other than erroneous refund. That will get waived. But the interest and penalty pertaining to erroneous refund has to be paid within 3 months from the passing of SPL 05. Else, your SPL 05 will become null and void. Okay. So this is a precondition that interest penalty pertaining to erroneous refund you pay after the SPL 05 is passed. But tax demand, including tax demand towards the erroneous refund, you pay along with before filing the SPL 02. Next item pertains to, so many orders passed by the center or many show causes issued by the center are for more than one tax periods. Again, when I come to most of the states, I have not seen any state which is passing multiple period orders in one show cause or one order. Usually, rather, I've always found that in case of state GST, one order, single order is passed for 1 year. But many central jurisdictions, I have found that there are multiple periods clubbed and a single show cause or single order is passed. What happens in that case? Very ironical. Again, maybe this can be taken in a writ jurisdiction also. Now, as you see on your screen, you have a show cause notice and a consequent demand order, which is pertaining to years 1920 and 2021. You see the tax, interest, penalty, and the total demand against each of the years. What does it mean? What is the taxpayer going to save out of this? For 2021, he is not eligible for the waiver. For 1920, yes, he is eligible for the waiver. The interest and penalty total up to 11,50,000 for 1920. But what does the rule say? The Act does not say this. The rule says that you pay the entire tax demand, which is forming part of that demand order. Even if it's for non-waiver periods, you pay the entire tax demand. So in this case, he will pay 40 lakhs for 1920. He will pay 45 lakhs for 2021. And then what does he have to do? First, he's paying the entire tax demand. Then he will file the amnesty application in SPL 02. The officer will issue amnesty order in SPL 05. And then the entire interest and penalty, which pertains to the non-waiver period, also has to be paid within 3 months of SPL 05. Now, this is very ironical that you are giving amnesty for 3 years, but forcefully you are not allowing the right to the taxpayer to litigate for the non-waiver year, that is 2021. This could see some writ applications because this seems to be beyond what the statutory section 128A allows. So 128A at no place. Erroneous refund, yes, they've specifically said that the waiver benefit will not be allowed for erroneous refunds. But in respect of non-waiver periods, there is no mention in the statute. But yes, the rule has said that you have to pay interest, penalty, and tax for the non-waiver period if they are part of the same order. If demand includes any amount towards 16.4, I will pay the tax demanded in that order after reducing the tax component pertaining to 16.4, because as per 16.5, it is no more payable. Then file the amnesty application. Then there will be an amnesty order. Okay. Now let us take this example where an audit was conducted for 2019-20. The taxpayer pays the liability of 10 lakhs in the course of audit. During the audit, the officer said you file a DRC 03. And then an order is issued on 30th of August 2024 for a demand of 15 lakhs, including 10 lakhs which is already paid. So again, the variation between the manner in which orders are issued by the state and center. A center will always issue an order for the gross demand and then say that I appropriate the 10 lakhs that you paid against the 15 lakhs. What if the order is issued only for 5 lakhs, which would happen typically in case of state jurisdiction? There is no problem, okay? Because the liability ledger is hit with 5 lakhs, you pay that 5 lakhs and interest and penalty are made. Similarly, we can have another situation where again there is a demand of 10 lakhs which is paid, order is issued, and the total demand of 10 lakhs plus interest of 5 lakhs and penalty of 1 lakh. What if the order is issued for 6 lakhs, that is interest and penalty? That means that I've already paid the tax on or before 30th of August 24. That also means that if I've paid it on or before 30th of August 2024, that was even before the amnesty section, that is 128A, was enacted. 128A was enacted on 1st November 2024. So the circular which is issued by the department, by the board, clearly says that there is no problem. So far as you have paid that tax component on or before 31st March 2025, you will be eligible for the waiver of the interest and penalty for those 3 years. Okay, another example, order issued for 1920. The demand is for 50 lakhs. SPL2 application made by the taxpayer. Demand of 50 lakhs paid. Order issued by the officer in SPL 05. Now later department is going into appeal against the order. Okay. You have been barred saying that you cannot appeal now. But for department to file an appeal, it is still admissible under 107 subsection 3. Now when it comes to the appellate authority, one possibility that the appellate authority enhances the original demand of 50 lakhs to 60 lakhs. In this case, this particular second proviso to 128 says the waiver is subject to departmental appeal. Okay. The waiver order shall be void if the enhanced amount of tax demand is not paid within 3 months of date of order. Now here we are seeing that we are dealing with 50 lakhs becoming 60 lakhs. Okay, I'll pay the 10 lakhs. You will get the waiver benefit of the enhanced amount also. But if we having a case where the original demand was 5 lakhs, which I got waived off interest and penalty under 128A, and if the enhanced demand is say 50 lakhs, I obviously will go into a further appeal and ignore the waiver scheme that I originally benefited from. Another example, matter taken up for audit under section 65 for 1920. ADT2 issued, that's the audit report issued by the officer. And since taxpayer did not agree to the observations, a DRC 07 was issued. We could have a situation where a single DRC1 is issued for all 6 cases. Typically, in any state jurisdiction, you will find that the state officer will issue a single DRC1. But in many cases, central jurisdictions, especially where manual orders have been issued, you will find that 6 DRC01s are issued and 6 show cause notice and 6 DRC7s are also passed. Now look at the irony of this section. You have a taxpayer who wants to pick and choose that I do not want to go into amnesty for 1 out of the 6 issues. Okay, so 1 issue I will contest. The other 5 issues I will not contest. I will go into waiver. In case 2, where there are 6 DRC7s issued, that taxpayer has due to the way the rule is framed, has the convenience or option to pick and choose what he wants to litigate and where does he want to go into the waiver. But case 1, where a single order has been passed, that poor taxpayer has no choice but to pay the entire tax demand in order to save the interest and penalty. Let us come to another hypothetical situation where I am before the appellate authority. The law says that you withdraw the appeal and then you make the payment and make application for waiver. Okay, no problem. I have 4 issues in front of me which I am in appeal. One is 2A versus 3B, 15 lakhs. Violation of 16.4, 5 lakhs, which anyways I will get benefit due to the insertion of 16.5. Blocked ITC 2 lakhs and reversal on account of credit notes 1 lakh. Plus the interest. Okay, so now one option the taxpayer has is withdraw the appeal. Out of 23, 5 lakhs will go because that is benefit under 16.5 will be available. But balance 18 lakhs he will have to pay and interest and penalty thereon will get saved. But come to a situation where 2A versus 3B is something which is apparently grossly wrong liability which has been demanded by the officer in DRC 7, and the taxpayer feels that I can really contest this and get this 15 lakhs into a zero. What the taxpayer or what the consultant should advise the taxpayer? You contest and try to expedite the order by the appellate authority, get this 15 lakhs to zero. 5 lakhs that is pertaining to 16.4 anyways goes out. So effectively you pay only 3 lakhs, that is blocked ITC and reversal, where you feel I don't want to litigate, right? So these are things which you need to keep in mind wherever you feel that there are merits in a case. let's expedite the hearing of the appeal. Let's get the appellate order and put the appellate order into the waiver scheme. Okay. Similar is a case where you have a rectification application that you filed. If you are very sure that 2A versus 3B is something which I can easily rectify, but unless that rectification order is passed, the original order will not get amended. Until then, you will not be able to make the balance payment and go into a waiver scheme because you have a time limit of 31st of March. So just like in the appeal case, you should follow up with the officer that please pass my rectification order at the earliest so that I can go for the amnesty benefit. Now, another important thing, you will see that many orders, various parameters are there. Block credits, credit note disallowance, 3B versus 2A. And if you have ever read section 7512, which is there on your screen, it says notwithstanding anything contained in 73, 74, 74A, where any amount of self-assessed tax in accordance with a return filed under section 39 remains unpaid, either wholly or partly, or any amount of interest on such tax remains unpaid, the same shall be recovered under the provisions of section 79. We all know that you cannot file 3B without making payment of the tax. So rarely this situation could come. Interest, yes, but as far as recovery of the tax is concerned, once you filed a 3B return, there will never be a case where the return is filed but the tax is not paid. So then the government realized that this is never possible. So an explanation was inserted somewhere around 2019, which says that self-assessed tax shall also include tax which is declared in outward supply details filed in under section 37, that is your GSTR 1, but which is remaining unpaid and it is not paid in the return filed under section 39, that is your 3B. So if there is a gap between 1 and 3B, the difference, which is a positive difference, will be a self-assessed tax, and the officer very well has the right to directly recover that amount without issuing a show cause notice. But usually you will find that a case has been taken up for audit or case has been taken up for, that this is only one parameter. There may be several parameters, and then ASMT 10 is issued, which gets converted into a 1A1. And one of the items in the 1 or the order in DRC 7 pertains to this self-assessed tax. The officer very well had an option to recover this directly, but he is issued an order under section 73. Now, what does the circular say? The clarification number 4 in the circular states that the benefit of waiver of interest and penalty shall not be applicable in cases where the interest has been demanded on account of delayed filing of returns or delayed reporting of any supply in the return, as such interest is related to demand of interest on self-assessed liability and does not pertain to any demand of tax dues and is directly recoverable under section 7512. My submission here is that if you would have directly recovered this amount, I agree with what the circular states. But if this amount is a part of an order under 73, and we at the beginning of the session, when we read 128 capital A, it already starts with a non-obstante clause. So do I really need to go and take shelter under 7520? If there is an amount of interest for delayed filing of returns or for delayed reporting of tax liability in GSTR 3D, in my view, this still, if demanded through the 73 route in an order, should be available for the benefit of waiver, but it goes against what the clarification says. Okay, so something like this, in my view, benefit should be available. Now, you may also face few cases where any order is required to be issued in pursuance of a direction of the appellate authority, tribunal or court. 75(3) says that if any court has said that you pass or re-adjudicate this order, there are 2 years. Now, obviously, I have to do this before 31st of March 25. So what options do I have, or what options can I give my client? One, expedite the re-adjudication process. Okay, court has directed you re-adjudicate it, you go to the officer and say you re-adjudicate the matter. Or you simply file SPL 04. Since the order has been set aside, the matter is again gone to show cause notice level. Show cause notice now will be considered under section 73. You file an SPL 01 application and pay the entire tax, get the interest and penalty waived. But if you feel that no, I can still go into re-adjudication, I can have certain items which are meritorious removed from the demand, and then when a fresh order has been passed, I will go and file an application for waiver so that I save the tax demand to the extent there are points which have merits. Or if I feel I can get the entire adjudication redone, I don't want to go for amnesty, then I can wait for the re-adjudication as well. 16.4, we all know this 16.5 was inserted, and where no show cause is issued, officer needs to take cognizance of this amended provision and not issue any show cause or demand with respect to any 16.4 case. Where order is not passed, same, while passing the order, the amended provisions of 16.5 should be kept in mind. Where an order under 73 is passed and no appeal has been filed, then there is a process of rectification which I can make 6 months from 8th of October 2024. And against that rectification application, a rectified order shall be passed by the authority who has originally passed the order. Where an appeal has been filed, the appellate authority, while disposing the appeal, should take cognizance of the amended provisions section 16.5 and accordingly pass an appeal order. With that, we can open the forum for questions, if any. Once again, thank you very much, Srinivas sir. Over to you for questions.
Members, any questions from your side? Kindly put in the chat box. One question was there in the chat box, sir. Should we need to go for refund in the case officer has issued DRC 04? It is with reference to DRC 03 and DRC 04 has been issued by the officer. And now the taxpayer want to go to get into the scheme.
You go to section 54, whether I have the time limit is there for making the refund application. If it is there, yes, you can go for refund, because I believe most of these cases would be a voluntary payment.
That's what.
So whether it can actually you can go for refund or no is a doubt.
It will be a question mark again. Yeah. I think no other questions, sir. No other questions. Sir, very lucidly explained the subject, pin to pin, point to point, excellently explained. And for the participants who have participated, there will not be any further questions in the subject 128A or section 16.4 as amended by section 16.5. Excellently explained, sir, with very patience and neat deliberation. Thanks a lot. And I also thank the members who have supported this program to be successful, who are not visible on the front end, but they are on the back end. And the support team, I'm very much thankful. And mostly the Arun sir, he has made efforts to organize this session. Excellent session, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. I'll end the session.
सर मैं एंड कर दे रहा हूँ.
Yeah, please.
Okay.